Welcome to In the Zone. This week we'll be breaking down the thrilling first week in the NFL, and the zone starts now.
The NFL regular season is underway, and Week 1 had its fair share of crazy games. The game of the week had to be the Steelers-Bengals game. Liam, what were your thoughts on this game?
Well, Travis, I thought this week was full of a bunch of messy games, right? And we can say this about many games that we're going to be talking about, but primarily the Steelers-Bengals game, the kickers, man. I mean, what's going on with that? And we see this a lot in the NFL.
I mean, for me, this game really boiled down to why the Bengals lost this game was a couple things. Poor quarterback play, horrible time management, and bad kicking. Well,
Absolutely.
More importantly, you want to talk about the kicking. Okay, it wasn't, I don't want to say it was Evan McPherson that lost this game for the Bengals, because he went 2 for 3 field goals, and he had a 59-yard long field goal.
That's true.
The thing that cost the Bengals the game, it was the field goal attempt in overtime. It was a low snap, so the guy positioning the football had to position it, and I think McPherson just rushed the kick because it was a 29-yard field goal attempt. He should make that.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that McPherson is a great talent, right? And,
Yeah.
and things happen. You have your good days, you have your bad days, but in the end, I really think that Steelers defense just suffocated this team with, quite a strong Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, the other thing that lost him was Joe Burrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Joe Burrow throwing 4 interceptions throughout the game, and then he fumbled the ball in overtime.
Exactly. And that's unacceptable. I mean, turnovers like that, you can't have them in a game, especially if you want to win. It's a miracle that they ended up tying with the Steelers.
You want to talk about Mitch Trubisky? Mitch Trubisky was not non-factor in this game. He won 21 for 38, 194 yards, 1 touchdown. That's non-factor.
Sure.
Another thing, again, I mentioned poor clock management. When the Steelers won that game, they kicked a field goal with less than 5 seconds to go in overtime. And there was one play when the Bengals had to punt the ball away for the Steelers' final drive. They had 15 seconds left on the play clock when the play clock was rolling down with the game clock. 15 seconds left, and they didn't take the clock down. That's mistakes like that is what's going to cost you the game.
Absolutely, especially when you have a guy who's in a brand new offense, hasn't really started in the game for a while, in Mitch Trubisky, beating a Super Bowl losing quarterback in Joe Burrow. I mean, it makes you wonder what's going on. Speaking of overtime games, the Texans surprised everybody and took the Colts to overtime. Neither team could get much of anything going. Ultimately ended in a 20-20 tie. Now, Travis, does this game tell you more about the Colts or the Texans?
This game, to me, it really doesn't tell me anything about any of these teams. It more tells me about the Colts and Texans that they're not improving. Let's just put it that way. The Colts, they trade away Carson Wentz. They thought he was a problem. He's gone. They bring in Matt Ryan. They still can't win.
Right.
The Texans, it shows their resilience in that they can maintain staying in the games without a top quarterback. Davis Mills, he's nowhere near a top 10 quarterback, but they made it close with the Colts. This game more speaks about the kickers again with the Steelers and Bengals. Rodrigo Blankenship missed a 42-yard field goal attempt that would have won it for the Colts.
Exactly. And that's unacceptable. I mean, I'm not an NFL kicker. I can't really speak to that, but, it surprised me a little bit that they waived him already because, he was the talk of the town 2 years ago, and now he's gone.
2 years ago with him, with the social media and his Legos.
Absolutely.
That really made him famous. And then, of course, last year, he gets hurt, doesn't play. I think he only played, the opening game, and that was it.
Sure.
And now, one missed field goal, he's gone. It just makes the Colts look bad.
It does make the Colts look bad, especially, they made an emotional trade with Carson Wentz. I'm not going to speak as a Commanders fan to Carson Wentz's talent from heaven.
Well, neither am I as an Eagles fan who saw one.
But, that's a debate for another time, right?
Yeah.
With high hopes on getting back to the playoffs, Carolina opened their season at home against the Cleveland Browns. Despite Baker Mayfield feeling confident to beat his former team, the Panthers came up short, losing 26-24. Travis, can Baker lead Carolina to the playoffs this year?
The answer to that is no, but it's not because it's Baker Mayfield, the quarterback. It's because they have a tough schedule ahead. I looked up their schedule. This isn't in any kind of particular order, but they got the Saints, Cardinals, 49ers, Rams, and Broncos all upcoming within the next 10 weeks. Now, the Panthers with any quarterback, even their new quarterback they drafted, what's his name? Matt Corral. Even if he was playing, they still won't make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So it's nothing to say about the quarterbacks. It's their schedule.
Sure. Is it coaching as well?
Yes and no. I don't know my feelings on that rule. I mean, you can only give the guy so much to work with. I mean, they gave him Sam Darnold.
Sure.
Like the 1 year, and now they're giving Baker Mayfield. Both quarterbacks aren't that great.
No, they're not great, but, with Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, he's stepped onto teams and he's won games. He went on a 5-game stint with the Saints, won every single game with them. He's a talented quarterback, and I think with the good coaching, you could take a mediocre quarterback and go anywhere.
Oh, certainly, but Panthers also don't have the talent either.
They don't. But to me, Carolina just kind of feels like a college team with rat rule there.
Yeah.
They used to have swagger. They used to have Cam Newton. They
Well,
used to have
Cam
Jonathan
Newton, that used to be
Stewart. They used to have Steve Smith. And when they went 15-1 and went to the Super Bowl, that was a team that you wanted to watch. Now, no.
It's a team. Well, Cam Newton was their whole franchise.
Absolutely.
He was the face of the team. He's what really got you interested, aside from them going almost undefeated that year.
Sure.
Well, they went. I guess. No, they didn't go undefeated.
They lost one game, but
Super
who's
Bowl.
counting, right?
Yeah. Well, we are. Let's move on to the Browns quarterback, Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett.
Do we have faith in him to get the Browns to the playoffs without Deshaun Watson?
I don't know. It should be interesting. Luckily, it's only 11 games that we have to watch.
Yeah, and they have an easy schedule this first half of the season. I mean, they got upcoming games against the Jets, Falcons, and Steelers. Games that it's not guaranteed they win, but they have a shot.
I think he can do it.
On the other side of the break, we'll have more on a great week 1 of the NFL season. Don't go anywhere. In the Zone, we'll be right back. With high expectations entering the season, the Eagles went to Detroit to take on the Lions. Just when it seemed the Eagles had the game won, the Lions came clawing back to make it a close game. Liam, the Eagles narrowly escaped with a 38-35 win. Your thoughts?
I think the score doesn't really show you how dominant the Eagles were in this game. It was a messy game, and it was a messy week. There was a lot of teams that were just getting messy wins, but at the end of the day, a win's a win. I think there's a lot to feel good about in Philadelphia.
I always call week 1 the overreaction week.
Sure.
Teams that win, lose, and then everyone panics, and teams that shouldn't win, win, and then all their fans celebrate. That's my takeaway from this game. This game was not a pretty game for the Eagles. A win's a win. And my concerns about the Eagles, there's so many concerns that came up this game. Allowing the Lions on their first drive going 85 yards without any resistance from the defense.
Right.
They just let DeAndre Swift run all over them. He had big carries, big gains.
Absolutely. Now, he's a talented guy.
Yeah.
Is that a concern for you as far as, it's the first drive of the NFL season, my defense is bad? Are you overreacting as an Eagles fan?
I was at the time. Let's
Okay.
put it that way. I was calling for Jonathan Gannon, their defensive coordinator, to be fired right after the Lions scored their touchdown.
Naturally.
Of course, I've been calling for him to be fired all of last season, and he wasn't. And he can't. He interviewed for head coaches everywhere. And no
Right.
team wanted him.
Yeah.
So it's like that really shows you what kind of person he is.
Absolutely.
But going back to this game, another concerning thing for the Eagles: Devontae Smith, no catches, nothing.
Wow.
He had about 2 targets in the first half. Now, Devontae Smith, he was working one-on-one against a cornerback. So you got to expect, when you're the better receiver versus a cornerback, you're going to get the ball in that matchup.
Absolutely.
And there were multiple times where he wouldn't turn around, look for the ball, or he wouldn't fight for the ball. And as someone that's his caliber, you got to fight for the ball.
Right. It seemed a little more like the Jalen Hurts show, and he's a competitor. He's a great leader. It really doesn't seem like he's going to be selfish with the ball, but he was running a lot.
Yeah, and that's another concern.
It cost him a little bit, so I think that's part of the Devontae Smith problem.
Jalen Hurts, he ran the ball more than he needed to.
Right.
He ran the ball, I think I wrote down, 17 times for 90 yards. And some of them were designed quarterback runs, but some of them were runs where he's scanning downfield and no receivers open.
Mm-hmm.
You got to throw the ball away.
Right.
Live to see another down. Don't be taking these big hits.
Right. Should be interesting down the stretch of the season. While there were plenty of close games in week 1, there were some games that were not so close as well. Minnesota started their season off with a dominating win over the Packers. Travis, after this game, are the Packers the Vikings the favorite to win this division?
Well, both teams are favorites to win. As I just mentioned, it's overreaction week.
Okay.
Now, every Packers fan is panicking because it was a pretty bad loss.
Right. You're talking about the overreacting Packers fans
Yeah.
right now. Now, that takes me back to last year when Aaron Rodgers had a little bit of discrepancy with that contract situation. He loses, 3 to 38 or something crazy like that
Yeah.
against the Saints, and then goes on to, do it all again. do what he does best. MVP.
But the main story of this game is that the Packers are missing Devontae Adams.
That, absolutely.
And that
you can
shows.
tell.
And no receiver had over 50 yards.
Right.
And you know Kirk Cousins, he has Justin Jefferson. That's his main guy. Adams was Rodgers' main guy. Now it looks like he has no one to throw to.
Right.
That he can rely on.
Exactly. So that should be another interesting story.
In another blowout, Kansas City went to Arizona and cruised to a 44-21 win over the Cardinals. Despite losing Tyreek Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, the Chiefs look strong in Week 1. Liam, is this cause for concern for the Cardinals, cause for celebration for the Chiefs, or both?
I think it is both. Now, the Cardinals, I don't think they're the franchise that everybody thinks they are. I think Kyler Murray, when he's running the ball, he's electric. And we can say that they're going to win games based off of that. But without DeAndre Hopkins there, they don't really have this trio of playmakers that impress me. And so I'm not surprised that the Cardinals,
Now,
did this
you want
in
to talk
this game.
about playmakers. The only playmaker it seemed like all game for them was James Conner.
Mm-hmm.
He was the main running back who was utilized in the receiver slot, and that was Kyler Murray's go-to guy.
Absolutely.
Their go-to guy should have been Marquise Brown,
Right.
but he only had 4 receptions for 43 yards. I mean, non-factor
Absolutely. Can't do anything
in
with
this
that.
game. And then for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Unlike the Packers, who lost their top receiver, the Packers clearly show they can't play without him.
Sure.
At least in Week 1.
Sure.
But Mahomes can show he can play without Tyreek Hill.
Well, it does make a difference when you have a Travis Kelce back and you have a little bit. You know what I mean? And then they replaced Tyreek with, they're not as good as him, but they're still playmakers.
Yeah.
And it seems like Patrick Mahomes, it's an overreaction to say that he's the next Tom Brady. He's not yet. But
He's close.
you can't root against him. And I learned that the hard way this week.
Now, you can't root against him. You won't talk about playmakers. There's a lot of no-name players, like players I did not recognize their names, who are making big plays for the Chiefs. We'll have more reaction to the first week of the NFL regular season after this short break. Don't go anywhere. In the Zone, we'll be right back.
Tampa Bay and Dallas played the season opener in Tampa last season. This season, they played in Dallas on Sunday night. Dallas had a rough first half, and it only got worse as the night went on. Late in the game, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott left the game due to a hand injury. It was later confirmed that Prescott will need surgery and will be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Travis, is the Cowboys season already over?
Can you believe it's Week 1 and the Cowboys are already eliminated from the playoffs?
I'm not going to complain about it.
But can you believe that? I mean, I know it's a meme, but, it's the truth. Let's just be honest here. But no, in all seriousness, even before Prescott got injured, he was not playing good whatsoever. He was 14 for 29, only 134 yards. Not great numbers. Ezekiel Elliott didn't have a good game either. Only 52 yards on 10 carries. And C.D. Lamb had a horrible game.
Right.
Thanks for the points in my fantasy team, C.D. Only 29 yards.
Yeah, you can tell that, they're not the same team that they were. And Zeke and Dak were both drafted in 2016. They're the old guys on the team now, and it's starting to show. Zeke is not electric like he used to be. And now, I don't like the Cowboys, but it is sad to watch.
It is sad to watch, but, me as an Eagles fan, I could care less.
Absolutely.
They can go 0-17. I hope they do.
Right.
But you want to talk about, let's talk about Prescott for a minute.
Sure.
The hand injury. Now, I was reading somewhere, I forget where I was reading this, but the Cowboys think Dak Prescott could be back within 4 weeks. That's interesting because, after he went out, all the rumors started about what are they going to do? Are they going to keep Cooper Rush, or are they going to go out and get someone?
Right. Here's the thing. When you're optimistic like that and you're forcing something to happen, let's say, okay, 6 to 8 weeks is what we want, 4 weeks is what could happen. You look at Russell Wilson last season with that finger injury, he wasn't the same player.
No.
Dak Prescott, regardless of how soon he comes back, he's not going to be the same player.
No, and that's true of any player who gets hurt. But what's interesting is, right after that happened, all the rumors about Jimmy Garoppolo started.
Oh.
And what's interesting is Kyle Shanahan said they will listen to any offer on any player, referring to Garoppolo.
Right.
But Jeremy Fowler of ESPN quickly shut that down and said they will not trade for a quarterback. They will keep Dak Prescott.
Right.
But, if it was a long-term injury, say he would be out for the season, say like an ACL tear or something that would keep him out, you got to wonder if they would make the trade for Garoppolo because I don't think Cooper Rush is going to get them anywhere.
Looks like the Eagles winning that division just got a little bit easier. After the acquisition of Tyreek Hill, all eyes are on Miami to contend for the playoffs. Tua and the Dolphins really fired up the grill and took care of the Patriots, winning 20-7. Travis, have the Dolphins impressed you yet, or is there more work to be done?
I still think there's a little more work to be done. This game against the Patriots, it was not great for the Patriots. I mean, they only got one touchdown, and they were pretty good last season with Mac Jones.
Sure.
But for the Dolphins, I mean, they got everything going, at least on paper, in the right direction. They got Tyreek Hill, and that's going to be Tua's new weapon.
Absolutely. The thing for me about this team is that you have Tyreek, you have Jalen Waddle, you have Chase Edmonds. Yeah. And I think Raheem Mostert is playing there now. You have speed on this offense, and you have Tua holding them back.
Now, is Tua holding them back, or is it something else? Because we know Tua can have a winning record in the NFL.
Sure.
Is it them holding it back? Is it the coach? I mean, I don't really know
it's mediocre quarterback play. I don't think Tua is an elite quarterback by any means.
No, he's not elite.
He's going to win an MVP, but you have playmakers. You put an elite quarterback in there, are you a quarterback away from Super Bowl contention? That might be an overreaction,
Maybe.
But Tua's not taking them to a quarterback.
Now, and do they go out and trade for a quarterback, or do they? I guess they would have to draft one and try to bring one up through the system.
You would think, but is it worth it at that point?
Monday night's game in Seattle had all NFL fans intrigued with Russell Wilson's return to Seattle. After a back-and-forth first half, the defenses took charge in the second half. Denver had a chance to win, but missed the game-winning field goal. Liam, what went through your mind when the Broncos sent out the field goal unit at the end of the game?
I'm thinking immediately, none of you are Justin Tucker. And they all want to be Justin Tucker, but there is no other Justin Tucker.
It was a 64-yard field goal at that.
That's ridiculous. Nobody else is going to make that other than
Justin Tucker, who proved he can do it.
Absolutely.
But my thoughts were, it's 4th and 5. Send Russell Wilson back out on the field.
Absolutely.
Now, even if they would have converted 4th and 5, it would still have been like a 59, 58-yard field goal attempt. Mm-hmm. That's still very hard to make. It would have made it a little easier, but would it be a guarantee if Russell Wilson came back and got the first down? No.
That wouldn't be a surprise at all. The only other thing that he's qualified for other than playing quarterback in the NFL is that culinary degree. Let Russ cook, man. You're paying $256 million for this guy. You're going to send the field goal unit out 4th and 5 for a game that he needs to win?
Yeah, and that's going to be a mistake that's going to get him fired, the coach fired.
Absolutely.
But, let's talk about Seattle fans booing Russell Wilson when he came back.
Wow. I mean, the amount that man did for that organization. He gave it a name.
He gave him a Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And you're going to go out there and boo. It's a little immature, and you can't put all of them under the blanket for that. But you can just tell that emotions were high, and he's looking for a Super Bowl.
ESPN sort of fixated on them strictly booing Russell Wilson. I was watching the Peyton Manning and Eli cast, and they're like, those boos are not because the Broncos are an opposing team. That's because Russell Wilson is playing tonight.
Right.
And, we in Philadelphia do the same thing. When Carson Wentz returns to Philly, he's going to get booed no matter what.
It's going to be an interesting week 3.
The Eagles have a Super Bowl because of him. Right. But that's a separate argument for a separate time. But I thought it was immature, but if I was a Seattle fan, I would do the same thing.
Sure. Now, is it too immature, though? He did do a lot for that organization.
He did, and I think a lot of Seattle fans are appreciative on the inside, but, you're out in public. You want to be fun.
Yeah, I get it, and you would hope so.
That will do it for this week's edition of In the Zone. I'm Travis Schuster.
And I'm Liam Crane. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.